Listen, let me talk to you real quick, because there comes a moment in every woman's life where she looks at a man and realizes, you didn't hurt me, you just revealed yourself. And that's the moment everything changes. Not because she breaks, not because she begs, but because she stops reacting. And that silence, that shift, that calm, that's what confuses him the most. See, people expect chaos from pain. They expect you to cry, to chase, to argue, to try to prove your worth. But when you take a breath, straighten your back, and choose peace over drama, that's when you flip the whole situation. Because the truth is, nothing confuses a man more than the version of you he can't control anymore. Let me give you the blueprint. Listen, let me break something down to you with clarity, with calm, with that quiet confidence that only comes from knowing your worth. Because people confuse silence with weakness. They look at your stillness and think you've given up. They look at your calm and think you're defeated. But the ones who really move with purpose are the ones who think long term, the ones who grow from their wounds instead of reacting to them. They know the truth. Your silence is strategy, not surrender. See, silence ain't empty. Silence is full of decisions, full of lessons, full of self-control. It's the space where you start choosing yourself again. It's the moment where you stop wasting energy explaining who you are to people who already know but pretend they don't. And when life hurts you, when somebody plays with your emotions, when somebody tests your patience, the instinct is to react, to prove your point, to defend yourself, to show them you're not the one. But when you get wiser, when you elevate, when you stop moving from emotion and start moving from intention, you learn something powerful. Not everything deserves a response. Not everyone deserves access. Not every situation deserves your energy. Sometimes the strongest move you can make is sitting still, because silence is where your power returns to you. People don't understand that. They think if you're not talking, you're hurting. They think if you're not reacting, you're unsure. They think if you're not fighting back, you lost. Nah, you're thinking, you're observing, you're rebuilding your boundaries. You're letting the noise die so the truth can breathe. Silence is when your mind gets sharp. Silence is when your emotions settle. Silence is when your soul remembers what it deserves. And that quiet, that calm, that patience, it confuses people who expected you to break. They were ready for chaos. They were ready for the argument, the tears, the begging, the attention. But you didn't give them a show. You gave them distance. You gave them maturity. You gave them peace. And peace is the one thing they cannot handle. See, when you react, they feel important. But when you go quiet, they have to face themselves. Your silence forces them to sit with their own behavior. It puts a mirror in front of them with no distractions, no excuses, no noise, just accountability. That's why silence is strategy, because it shifts the whole power dynamic. It puts the control back in your hands. It shows that you're not moved by disrespect. You're moved by direction. You're not controlled by pain. You're guided by purpose. Your silence says, I don't need to prove anything. I don't need to fight for what isn't fighting for me. I don't need to explain what you already know you did. I'm choosing me. And the beauty of silence is this: it teaches you who deserves a seat in your life and who's just passing through. Because the ones who truly love you will feel your silence. They'll reach out. They'll correct themselves. They'll show up different. But the ones who only wanted your reaction, they'll disappear, because without chaos, they have no connection. Without drama, they have no advantage. Without access, they have no control. Silence clears the room. Silence reveals truth. Silence exposes intentions. It's not surrender. It's selection. It's choosing peace over proving a point. It's choosing growth over gossip. It's choosing healing over reacting. And sometimes silence is the doorway to the next chapter of your life. The moment you stop arguing is the moment you start evolving. The moment you stop explaining is the moment you start expanding. The moment you stop reacting is the moment you start rising. People might not understand it at first. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you're cold. They'll say you're distant. But you know the truth. You're focused. You're intentional. You're protecting what's left of your energy. You're walking into a version of yourself that doesn't need validation, doesn't need noise, doesn't need approval. You're becoming someone who speaks only when necessary, moves only with purpose, and reacts only to what aligns with your future. So if someone hurt you, if someone tried to play with your heart, if someone tried to take advantage of your kindness, let your silence be your statement. Let your peace be your boundary. Let your growth be your answer. Because silence isn't giving up. It's leveling up. It's choosing wisdom over war. It's choosing direction over distraction. And the ones who thought your silence meant you were done, they're about to realize it meant you were just getting started. Listen, let me put something on your mind that most people never understand until they grow past the version of themselves they used to be. When you elevate, when you start moving different, when you start thinking long term, choosing peace, choosing purpose, choosing yourself, you don't just change your life. You confuse everybody who was comfortable with the lower version of you. Because confusion doesn't come from acting strange. Confusion comes from elevation. See, people get used to you playing small. They get used to the version of you that entertained their nonsense, answered every message, reacted to every insult, carried every burden. They get used to the version of you that had time for everything except yourself. So when you start elevating, they don't recognize you. Not because you became someone else, but because you finally stopped being who they expected you to be. That's where the confusion hits them. You start saying no, and they call you rude. You start protecting your peace, and they call you distant. You start loving yourself, and they call you different. But really, you're just rising. You're just learning. You're just outgrowing the spaces that kept you stuck. And the thing is, when you elevate, you don't even have to announce it. Your energy shifts first. Your habits shift next. Your priorities shift after that. You stop moving from emotion. You start moving from intention. You stop chasing validation. You start chasing purpose. You stop arguing with people committed to misunderstanding you. You start valuing silence more than attention. And to them, that's confusing because they thought elevation meant showing off. They thought growth meant flashing success. They thought healing meant making a speech about it. But the real elevation, it's quiet, it's internal, it's personal. It's the decision to let go of people who drain you. It's the strength to leave environments that shrink you. It's the patience to focus on your own journey instead of comparing it to someone else's. When you elevate, your circle gets smaller, your vision gets clearer, your time becomes precious, your boundaries become real, and the people who were benefiting from your old patterns, they don't know how to interact with your new ones. This is why elevation creates confusion, because the version of you that they manipulated, used, ignored, or underestimated doesn't exist anymore. They can't predict you. They can't provoke you. They can't distract you. They can't guilt trip you. They can't pull you back into what you outgrew. You changed your frequency, and now they can't tune in. Elevation forces them to ask questions within themselves. Why isn't she reacting? Why doesn't he care anymore? Why can't I control the situation like before? Why did they pull away? Why are they glowing while I'm still stuck? Because elevation exposes stagnation. Your growth highlights where they haven't grown. Your discipline highlights their excuses. Your clarity exposes their confusion. You didn't hurt them. You just became someone they can't reach with the same old games. Elevation makes your journey look mysterious. They can't tell if you're struggling, thriving, planning, healing, or transforming because you're not showing your steps anymore. You're just moving. You're just evolving. You're just becoming. That's why they're confused. You're operating on a level they haven't unlocked yet. And anything above someone's understanding becomes a threat to their comfort. But don't shrink to make them feel safe. Don't dim your growth to keep people close. Don't slow your elevation because someone refuses to climb with you. Keep rising. Keep leveling up. Keep learning, healing, expanding, becoming. Because confusion is just confirmation that you're no longer predictable. You're no longer controlled. You're no longer repeating the same cycles. You're no longer available for the same old situations. Your elevation is the evidence that you're moving in your purpose, and their confusion is the echo of their own limitations. So let them talk, let them guess, let them misunderstand, let them create stories in their minds. You didn't elevate to be understood. You elevated to be aligned. You elevated to be free. You elevated to become the version of yourself you always knew you could be. And anybody who gets confused by your growth was never meant to grow with you in the first place. Listen, there comes a point in your growth where you stop letting other people's behavior dictate how you feel. You stop letting their mood control your mood. You stop letting their disrespect shake your worth. You stop letting their inconsistency throw off your whole day. That shift, that moment where you pull your emotions back into your own hands, that's when everything changes. Because you can't control what somebody does, but you can control what you give power to. And the moment you detach your emotions from his behavior, you stop being a prisoner of somebody else's choices. People will move how they want to move. People will act how they are on the inside. And most of the time, what they do has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with their wounds, their fears, their insecurities, their past, their habits. But when you take it personal, when you attach your emotions to their behavior, you start carrying weight that was never meant for you. You start thinking, why would he do that? What did I do wrong? Why am I not enough? But hear me. His behavior is a reflection of him, not a report card on you. You could be loving, loyal, devoted, supportive, and he could still act cold, distant, unsure, selfish. Not because you failed, but because he's fighting battles you didn't create. So let me talk to you real. Detach your feelings from his actions. Detach your worth from his attention. Detach your peace from his chaos. That's not cold. That's clarity. When you detach, you stop reacting emotionally. You stop letting him pull you into cycles you don't belong in. You stop making excuses for what hurts you. You stop trying to heal someone who isn't trying to heal themselves. You start observing instead of absorbing. You start seeing patterns instead of promises. You start recognizing truth instead of potential. And that's where your power lies, in seeing things exactly as they are, not how you wish they could be. When you detach, your heart gets smarter. You stop mixing love with suffering. You stop confusing attachment with loyalty. You stop mistaking emotional cravings for genuine connection. You realize you don't have to break just because he's broken. You don't have to bleed just because he's bleeding. You don't have to lose yourself just because he lost himself a long time ago. That's the trap. Thinking you can love someone into being better. Thinking you can carry both your healing and his healing. Thinking his behavior is something you can fix if you just love harder. But you can drown in that. You can destroy your spirit trying to save someone who keeps choosing the same fire they claim is burning them. Detach. Not to punish him, not to play games, but to protect your peace. Because when you stop handing your emotions to someone who doesn't know how to handle their own, you finally stop suffering from problems that don't belong to you. You become steady. You become centered. You become harder to shake. And he feels that shift. He feels when your tears dry. He feels when your expectations fade. He feels when your heart stops running circles around his behavior. Suddenly, he can't control you with silence. He can't hurt you with inconsistency. He can't confuse you with mixed signals. He can't drain you with emotional roller coasters because you disconnected the wires that connected your peace to his actions. And once you do that, you start moving different. You start thinking for yourself again. You start choosing what's healthy instead of what's familiar. You start loving yourself instead of begging someone else to love you the right way. Detaching doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop losing yourself. It means you stop paying emotional rent in somebody else's chaos. It means you stop letting someone else's brokenness break you. And the beautiful part, when you detach, you gain something stronger than any relationship. You gain yourself. You gain your calm. You gain your control. You gain your clarity. You gain your confidence. And from that space, you can finally decide what's best for you, not from hurt, not from fear, not from attachment, but from truth. So hear me, his behavior is his journey. His choices are his lessons. His healing is his responsibility. And your emotions, your peace, your heart, that's yours. Protect it, guard it, honor it. Detach from what hurts you so you can grow into what heals you. Listen, there's a difference between moving because you're hurt and moving because you're ready. Most people get caught up in reacting to pain. They let anger, betrayal, disappointment, or heartbreak drive their steps. They move fast, they move loud, they move desperate. But that's not the move that lasts. That's not the move that builds. That's the move that keeps you stuck in yesterday. When you start moving with purpose, it changes everything. Purpose isn't loud. Purpose isn't angry. Purpose doesn't need to announce itself. Purpose moves steady. Purpose moves consistent. Purpose moves focused. Purpose doesn't chase revenge or validation. It builds, it creates, it elevates. Pain is temporary. Pain can push you, but it can't carry you. Pain can light a fire, but it burns out if that fire isn't fed with intention. And too many people mistake the heat of pain for progress. They think if they're moving fast, if they're doing everything in response to being hurt, that somehow they're winning. But real power doesn't come from reacting. Real power comes from choosing your steps carefully, moving in a direction that actually leads somewhere and not just away from what caused the pain. See, moving with purpose requires clarity. You've got to know who you are, what you want, and where you're going. You've got to have vision, not just emotion. Because when you let pain drive your decisions, you're operating blind. You're building a life that's responsive, not proactive. You're answering yesterday's problems instead of designing tomorrow's victories. Purpose gives structure to your hustle. It teaches you to focus your energy on what matters. It teaches you that not every battle is worth your time. It teaches you to invest in things that grow your future rather than draining you with temporary satisfaction. Purpose makes every step intentional. Pain just makes you move. Purpose makes you move smart. Purpose makes you move like a marathon runner, pacing yourself for the long haul, building momentum that doesn't burn out in the first mile. When you move with purpose, you elevate. Your decisions are informed, not emotional. Your actions are calculated, not reactive. You start seeing opportunities that weren't even visible when you were moving with pain. Doors open because you're ready to walk through them. People notice because your energy has changed. Your focus is magnetic because it's consistent and authentic. You're no longer chasing attention or validation. You're building assets, wealth, discipline, and respect. Pain teaches you lessons, yes, but it can't carry you past the lessons if you let it control your steps. Moving with purpose takes the wisdom from pain and turns it into action that matters. It's transforming anger into strategy, heartbreak into focus, disappointment into determination. It's moving forward without letting the weight of what hurt you slow your momentum. It's about being disciplined enough to let your vision drive your steps, not your feelings. Moving with purpose also means knowing your boundaries. It means not letting toxic energy, betrayal, or negativity take up residence in your life. It means surrounding yourself with people who lift you, inspire you, and challenge you in ways that align with your goals. It's about building a life where you're the architect, not a passenger being tossed around by circumstance. Purpose gives you control over your journey. Pain just makes you reactive to it. And here's the thing. Moving with purpose requires patience. Growth takes time. Success takes consistency. Elevation doesn't happen overnight. But when you keep walking in the direction of your vision, every step counts. Every sacrifice counts. Every decision counts. And even if the world doesn't understand your pace or your choices, you understand them. You understand that you're not in a race to prove anyone wrong. You're in a marathon to prove yourself right. So when life hurts you, when people betray you, when obstacles try to break your spirit, remember this: you can let pain drive you and you'll spin your wheels. Or you can let purpose drive you and you'll build a life that pain can't touch, a legacy that hurt can't shake, and a mindset that no circumstance can defeat. Move with purpose, not pain. Let your vision be louder than your anger. Let your strategy be stronger than your heartbreak. Let your focus be sharper than your disappointment. The world doesn't need more reaction. It needs more disciplined action. It needs people who take the lessons from pain and turn them into momentum, into growth, into greatness. Because when you move with purpose, nothing can stop you. Pain only points the way. Purpose builds the road, and walking that road, that's how you win, that's how you rise, and that's how you leave a legacy that lasts longer than the hurt ever could. Listen, there's a power in distance that most people don't understand. Most people think that if you step away, you're giving up, you're cold, you're weak. But distance is strategy. Distance is clarity. Distance is the quiet force that makes people see themselves without your energy covering their flaws. When someone hurts you, when someone disrespects you, when someone shows you who they really are, the instinct is to react, to argue, to chase, to explain, to demand, to fix. But the real move, the move that separates the wise from the emotional, is stepping back, letting distance do the talking. Distance creates perspective. It gives you space to breathe, to think, to evaluate what really matters. When you're too close, everything feels urgent, personal, overwhelming. You're wrapped up in emotion, wrapped up in chaos, wrapped up in the expectation of how people should behave. But when you pull back, when you create that space, suddenly the picture becomes clear. You see who is real, who is loyal, who deserves a place in your life, and who doesn't. And the thing about distance is it speaks louder than words. You don't have to call out. You don't have to justify. You don't have to beg for respect. Your absence says more than any argument ever could. It's the mirror that reflects back the truth, both to yourself and to the one who hurt you. People feel distance. People notice it. People respect it. Or they don't. But either way, they can't ignore it. Distance also protects your energy. When someone is toxic, when someone's actions are inconsistent, when someone keeps testing your patience, being present only drains you further. But when you step away, you stop feeding the chaos. You stop carrying weight that isn't yours. You stop giving attention to things that don't serve your growth. Distance becomes a shield, a way to preserve your focus, your peace, and your progress. And here's the real beauty. Distance forces accountability. It forces the other person to sit with themselves. It makes them face what they did without your reaction softening the blow. They can't manipulate. They can't confuse. They can't guilt. trip you if you're not right there to absorb it. Distance exposes their intentions, exposes their patterns, exposes who they really are when they're not under your influence. But distance isn't about revenge. It's not about punishment. It's not about playing games. It's about clarity, self-respect, and elevation. It's about recognizing that your peace is more valuable than their approval. It's about understanding that sometimes the loudest statement isn't in what you say, it's in what you refuse to tolerate. When you let distance do the talking, you also give yourself time to heal. You stop reacting to immediate pain and start building long-term strength. You start investing in yourself instead of in the chaos that someone else created. You start focusing on growth, vision, and purpose instead of being trapped in cycles that lead nowhere. People will try to pull you back. They will reach out. They will test. They will act like nothing happened. But the ones who are meant to grow with you will respect the space. The ones who aren't will drift away. And that's how life works. Distance is a filter. It separates who deserves access from who doesn't. And let me tell you something. When you move with distance, you don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to justify your absence. Your growth, your focus, your calmness, they speak for themselves. They confuse people who thought they could control or predict you. They show strength to the ones who doubted you. They shine a light on the reality of relationships that weren't built on respect. Distance is powerful because it's consistent. It doesn't react, it doesn't chase, it doesn't beg. It just exists. And in that existence, people feel it, they respect it, and they understand it, whether they admit it or not. So when someone hurts you, when someone betrays your trust, when someone shows you who they are, step back, pull away, give them room to face themselves. Give yourself room to breathe. Give your life the space it deserves. Let distance do the talking. Let it reveal truth. Let it protect your peace. Let it guide you toward the people, the paths, and the opportunities that match your energy, your vision, and your worth. Because in the end, distance isn't absence, it's power. And when you move with that kind of power, nothing can shake you, nothing can confuse you, nothing can hold you down. You'll see clearly, walk confidently, and let life respond to your elevation without ever having to say a word.